don't understand. Mama, I don't understand. I ain't gonna get it. No, you feel me.
A great show for you today. We have a guest that we've actually had on before. If y'all see this face, if you watch my vlogs, you've definitely seen him, Mr. Rocky Carmona.
He has conveniently joined us for episode 69.
Yeah, he did it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And we have April Curve on today. April,
Yay.
thank you so much for coming on the show today. Today, y'all, I know we usually, for the last few episodes, I think we've kind of been fun, lighthearted. Today, we're going to talk about a few more serious topics.
Yes.
So I'm excited to kind of dive into today.
Kind of a controversial topic in some aspects, I would say.
This year, for 2020, the elections and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure a lot of folks are talking about it. But okay, so let's just get right into it. April, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Where are you from? Who are you? What you do?
Yeah.
I'm from Bessemer.
What's your story?
I'm from Bessemer.
Bessemer.
Okay.
I'm in McCalla right now. I work at Mobility Central. Work with, disabled people. We do wheelchairs and stuff. I did pharmacy for 26 years, so pretty much just a medical field.
Yeah, okay,
Awesome.
Good deal. I think that's, I was asking earlier because I wasn't sure how Rocky and you knew each other, and he said that he actually came in. Well, you tell us. How'd y'all meet?
He did. He came into our store looking for a power wheelchair for his
From
mom.
my mom.
For his mom. Not for himself. So,
Just for fun.
But at the time we had my cousins had set up a motorcycle ride in honor of my daughter because I had just lost her in December. So when he pulled up, I heard a motorcycle. And I told my best friend Tracy, I said, I think he's on a motorcycle. Why is that? So we were messing with him. We're like, you should come to our ride and all. And I was just kidding around and all. Well, he did. He came.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'll go anywhere that I'm invited.
He came and, we just kind of became friends from there. And he's been very supportive and came to all of our events. And I'll tell you a little bit about those. So that's we kind of met in a bad way. But he's been a blessing to them and been very supportive of us.
Well, good deal. That's
It was
awesome.
kind of, it caught me. I was kind of shocked because I think it was probably around February that I went up there
I think so.
to get the wheelchair, and she asked me about the motorcycle, and she said that they were doing the ride
Mm-hmm.
for her daughter, and her daughter and my daughter have the same name. Her daughter's name is
I was
Ashlyn.
thinking that just a minute ago when I
Yes.
was walking up the steps.
With two N's versus the one, and I, with everything that I've been through, like it was just, I don't know. I really just kind of admired her strength. She was at work. This was just a couple of months afterwards.
I went back to work
and
about a month after she.
you could just really tell in her voice and her story, like definitely the love that she has, for her daughter. But also like the strength that she has to. I couldn't imagine me being a parent. I couldn't imagine being put in that situation and already being, having to move forward with life with having so much weight on you. Yeah.
Now, for everybody that's listening and watching, you don't know yet, but so what happened was that your daughter was a victim of gun violence, and
Yes.
you lost your daughter. And tell us, tell us your story. What happened?
On December 7th, 2016, my daughter, she had just turned 18 in November.
There you go.
You
good?
Her and her boyfriend had went. I talked to her at 8 o'clock that night, and I told her, it's cold, come home, get your warm jacket, don't be out all night with him, because his mom had put him out of the house. And she said, okay, Mom, but I'd be all right. So that was at 8 o'clock.
This was 2 years ago?
2016, so it'll be 3 years in December.
Okay.
So my husband and I had already went to bed, and I guess about midnight, my son came to the door and said, Mom, there's somebody at the door. And so I went to the door, and it was my daughter's boyfriend's mom and her son, and she said, April, Ashlyn and Jabari have been shot. And I just remember thinking, my heart dropping, and I just went into a panic. I called my sister, and I woke my husband up, and my son was going hysterical. He was 16. He was hitting walls, and what had happened was they had without going into too much because we have 4 up against capital murder charges.
Currently.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is
Still going through
trial.
They had decided to purchase some Xanax from someone. My daughter, she smoked marijuana, I'm not going to lie. She wasn't an avid drug user as far as anything heavy.
Right.
But they set up with a person that they knew that sold. And the guy wanted him to drive down to Lipscomb to meet him. And the boyfriend was like, no, I've got my girl with me. I don't feel comfortable coming down there. Can you meet me closer to Bessemer? So he's like, yeah. He didn't like it. He said, I'll give you gas money. And so he said, when he hung up, the guy was cursing, and he said, it just put up a red flag for me. And he said, well, and let me know if I'm going into it too much.
No, we
this
want to
is-
hear
this
the
is
story.
all the stuff. This is
So
amazing.
when they talked about it, Jabs, I'm uneasy. So they called another person that Jab or they had purchased marijuana from before. And Lipscomb is a bad area, and I had asked Ashlyn to stay from down there, but she had friends down there because they were sent over to McAdory School, so she didn't think anything about it. And I was raised in Bessemer, and she was streetwise, and I'm rambling. So they called another guy. They called the guy, and they canceled. And he said the guy that he canceled with was very irate and threatening him, and told him he would shoot his head off and blah blah blah.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
for not getting it from
getting it from him. So they
Oh,
called
my
this.
gosh.
They called this other guy, and the guy said, "Yeah, I've got it. Come to Lipscomb." He said, "I was very comfortable coming to Lipscomb for this guy because I dealt with him before and I've never had a problem out of him."
Okay.
Well, what he didn't know was that the first person he called and the second person he called were together.
Oh.
So
man.
yeah.
Damn.
So there was 4 or 5.
That is messed up.
There was 5 people at a house, and so the second guy said, "Well, we'll just rob him. If he's going to be like that, we'll just rob him like that. Just go and just get his money if he's going to be a whatever."
Yeah.
Right.
So he said he arrived at the stop sign where they were supposed to meet at about 10:30, and he called the guy that he thought he was going to meet.
The one he'd met before.
Yes,
Okay.
the one he knew before. And he said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like that. And Jab said it was like 3 or 4 minutes. And he said there was a street light behind me. And he said they came up in front of me, and there was headlights in my face. He said this person got out of the car, had a hoodie on, same stature, build, came to the car. He said, I addressed him by name, rolled down the window, addressed him by name. He said, he pulls his hoodie up, and he's got, a 9mm. And he's like, whoa, man, what's going on? He's I'm totally taken back from it. He said, which at that point, he said, I would have gave him what he wanted.
Right.
And just went. And he said, I saw somebody walk in front of the car, in front of the headlights. And he said, it was the first guy that I called. And he said he had an AR-15 type gun.
My God.
And he said he was coming around to my daughter's side of the car. And he said, all I could think was, they're going to kill us. And he said, so I immediately just threw the car in reverse. And he said, when I did that, the one guy started firing into the car. Struck him in the shoulder.
With the AR or the
No, the guy
other
with the AR did not fire.
Yeah.
As we know.
Yeah.
The first guy he was
Right.
supposed to meet.
Yeah.
But
But he was supposed
to meet.
trusted.
Yes, was the one that fired into the car, as far as we can understand
Okay.
or know. It struck Jab, and my daughter had 2 defense wounds in her hand and 1 in her head. So he
So
said,
her arms go up.
yeah,
and
she
she's
just
trying
goes
to.
up, and so it goes right through her hand and through her head.
Oh, man.
So he runs down Dartmouth to safety. He said, I'm just driving. I'm just trying to get away. He said, and she's slumped over, and he said, she's not responding to me. And he said, and I just noticed there's blood everywhere. And he said, so when I got to the edge of 150, he said, I saw an officer, and I flashed my lights. And he said, I crossed over to the Kangaroo on Highway 150. And he said, I just laid the seatbelt. He said, I was doing CPR on her. I called 911. And he said, in the meantime, the person that he was supposed to meet was texting him and saying, "Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about you and your girl. I hope you're okay." He hadn't even had time for 911 to get there, and this guy was already establishing his alibi.
Oh wow.
Well, come to find out, person that was supposed to be there, it was not him. He had sent his unhinged cousin. So they were the same stature and everything. So there was the cousin that he sent, the cousin's girlfriend, and then the first guy that they had set up with. So
wait, so the cousin and the cousin's girlfriend, the girlfriend's in the car. Where's
the girlfriend's
in
the car. There's only one girl.
Okay.
There's the girlfriend and the shooter.
Right.
No, this is a separate car.
Oh, right.
This is the shooter's car.
Okay.
There's the girlfriend. There's the shooter, and then there's the guy that was first called.
Okay.
The guy that was supposed to come stayed back at the house.
He wasn't even there.
Wow.
But he's still involved in it because
he was the mastermind of the plan. They said so. He was still considered guilty of.
Yeah, because he
murder.
knew what they were going to do, and they're packing all these guns and.
Yes, and I'm very pro Second Amendment. My father was a veteran. My husband's a veteran. I was raised shooting guns. I've got a house full of guns. My kids were taught to use guns, but not. They didn't have possession of them. My daughter and her boyfriend did not have possession of a gun. They didn't. They weren't involved in that activity.
Right.
My daughter was a cheerleader, and she was the beauty queen at Macador. She had so many friends, to the point, at her birthday parties at the time, she was like 14, 15. My husband would just go upstairs because they quit coming. I mean, they would Rick's like, I'm counting 35. I'm going upstairs.
Yeah.
So she was very popular, and because she loved everybody because my daughter was biracial, so she didn't care what color you were, what social status you were. She did not care. So she lost a lot of friends because of that, because you've got cliques, so when she started, on a different path, maybe smoking marijuana a little bit, she had some of her friends kind of pull back from her. And then some of her friends that she had for a long time took the road with heroin. And she had to pull back from them,
Plague, yeah.
So by the time she passed, she had a very small circle. She had a lot of people that loved her, but a small circle of friends.
Right.
But she was the type of person, if I'm at Walmart in the parking lot and she sees somebody homeless, she's jumping out of the car before I can get to stop, scraping change, giving part of her food.
Right.
Kitten rescue. My dad was a veteran, and he was 100% PTSD.
Okay.
So she would go by there 2 or 3 times a week and take care of him. 18. Who does that?
I was about to ask how old she was. So 18.
18. She had just turned 18 November 2nd before she was killed.
Oh my gosh.
So he, just to get back to with that night and what happened. So they come. He sees the officer on 150 and he flags him down, and then. Did they realize that she, was gone right then?
No.
Did they go to the hospital?
No. When I got the phone call, they told me they're putting her. His mother called me and said they're getting her in a room, and I'm thinking, okay,
she's okay.
I'm okay because I'm talking to Jabbar and he's screaming and crying, wanting to see her. Well, I didn't know she was in a trauma unit, and when I came in, I remember the nurse telling me we're getting her comfortable. And they were being very vague. And so when they finally, and my poor husband, he was so irate because the doctors were being so, vague. He punched a wall and set the alarms off in the hospital, and the police came. And
oh my gosh.
He had to take an hour, time out to calm down. He posed no threat. He was just angry.
Right. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
And then her dad got there. Well, I had a hard time getting in touch with him because he didn't have phone service. He got there late. There was a bunch of us at the hospital. When I walked into the room and saw her,
you just knew.
Yeah, I'm just like, and I said, the nurse is like, we do 3 brain scans, and I said, you don't have to. I said, she's not here, And my sister, was praying. She said, God can work a miracle, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like. I'd sit by her bed for a while and I'd scream and I'd cry and and beg her to be okay. But I knew. I knew. And even if she could come back from it, because the swelling in her eye from the pressure and everything, I knew she wouldn't want to live like that.
Right.
So they did their third test the next morning, and there was no brain activity. So we decided to donate her organs.
Okay.
And she helped 11 people.
Wow.
I've met her.
That's
I
crazy.
came in contact with her, both of her kidney recipients. Her liver recipient I met at the picnic in April. And I just heard from her heart recipient that lives in the tip of Texas. And she's an 18-year-old Hispanic girl, and she is absolutely beautiful.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So me and her have conversations on Facebook, and I get to talk to her, and I just send her a care package. But to get to the meat of it, what I'm really here for is you can let this make you or break you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been, not that I'm a better person than anybody else, or I'm stronger than anybody. I've always been a mother to anybody that let me be.
Right.
So I had a lot of her friends that I did take under my wing,
Mm-hmm.
and Jab, I started out that with him. But when she passed, after the initial shock of it, my cousins set the motorcycle ride, and it was our first event. And I just told myself, I said, you can't let this just be another label drug deal gone bad.
Mhm.
You know, this has to be, this happened because I'm supposed to be doing something. I have a path. I've been put on this path, and it's just been driven in me so hard. And my husband struggles with it. He says every event in him is like another funeral. He says.
Mhm.
So, but he's very, he's supportive. My sister Christy is been supportive. My best friend Tracy.
She helps you when you
Rocky,
organize
Yeah.
events.
my
and
sister,
stuff,
yeah, she is my event manager. I've met a lot of other mothers that have lost kids to gun violence. I've had people call me and say, "Hey, this girl's daughter just got her head blown off last night. Can you talk to her?" And I mean, I'm like, "Yeah, I can."
Yeah.
And so I talked to them, and I've made some good friends.
That's saying something, because I know a lot of people. I mean, I don't. Now that I'm a mom, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It's nothing you want to.
It's really touching. I've been to three or four events since I've met April, and like the first one that we went to was the motorcycle rides, and I enjoy riding motorcycles. But we went and people started showing up, and it's just it's an unbelievable feeling from outside looking in, because there was other people there that were obviously affected by the tragedy, that were closer to her and her family, or that have experienced something like that. And I took my son along with me, but it almost seems like I could explain, like, it's almost like there's an invisible bubble around these events, and that's realistically, like, when you're there, like, that's the only thing that matters. Like, it's so eye-opening listening to other people's experiences and seeing the communities, the people coming together. I mean, you're talking about different races, different views on politics, different experiences. I mean, all kinds of different demographics that go, and everybody's sole purpose is the same thing. And if you go to one of April events, one thing that I've learned is that the majority of people's focus is our youth, I guess you would say, because that's I feel like that's what's affected the most, and what has affected April's family the most. But it's unbelievable. I mean, I have my two kids, and I have that close connection mainly because our daughters share the same name, so I couldn't imagine. I mean, you know my daughter, and you know how I am with my kids. Like, I couldn't imagine how I would react if something like that ever happened, to my Ashlyn.
And the fact that y'all met just randomly, and then y'all got the same daughter's name.
It just takes an incredibly strong person, I think, to like make
I couldn't imagine
something out of that.
Yeah.
Something positive out of such a negative thing.
I'm going to. I'm not going to stop. I'll be letting her down if I do, and I'll be letting down these other kids, because after her death, we've done the bike ride. We did a balloon release in Ashlyn's honor.
That was really nice.
Yes.
The one at the Petro?
Yes.
Yeah, that was really, really nice.
I mean, we were like trying to scrap it together. One of my friends brought a trailer, and we made a stage out of it. And one man I do have to mention is Darius Whitsitt. And he goes by Young One In. And he has a little rap gang, is what he calls it. But he's the youth pastor at Oasis of Praise, and he's always done the ministry in the morning for schools.
Okay.
And he actually, I didn't know him, but he actually went to the school after he found out Ashlyn's death and offered counseling for the kids. So I asked him to help me with one of my events, and he just jumped on it, and he's been my MC at every event.
Wow.
And he's just incredible. He's always in the streets doing a show or helping the youth, and before he goes to work in the mornings, he'll go to and do the first priority at the middle school or do prayer for the school. And he's a young man. But you'll need to check him out, Hindarius Whitsitt. He's incredible, and he's been incredible for us in our events.
Wow. I think I've got I don't think just the whole thought on gun violence and the gun laws and then gun control, like the difference there, because you got the Second Amendment in the law, and I think the laws are great per state, but it's the control, it's the cuckoos,
it's
mental health issues,
it's mental health care,
the younger
and it's a
kids.
Heart problem.
It's what?
It's a heart problem.
Heart problem. Yeah.
It's a heart problem. It's mental health care.
And how do you stop that? Like you can't get the
that's-
guns off the
yeah.
streets.
And
Like,
that's the
there's
thing
no
is
way.
because like
You
with
got to start when they're young and
because
pull them out of that.
Yeah.
because like with April, she lost her daughter to gun violence, and I'm so pro Second Amendment. It's not even funny,
Right.
But I take all the proper precautions on anytime that I conceal carry, open carry. So that's the biggest difference is education, gun education,
and leaving them locked up in your
Right.
house, and
But,
all
yeah,
like
but
you said, y'all grew up shooting guns. And
But like
stuff.
with April, she goes,
Yeah.
she goes through such a tragedy with her daughter to gun violence. And then one day, I think it was at an event that she was at or something, I see her a post on Facebook, and she's got her open carry on the side. And it, again, she's just an amazing individual. I mean, a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm so against guns. I lost a great uncle to gun. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the tool that I feel that's the tool that people use, but the intent was always there. If you could put a rock or a gun or a knife in front of somebody, it doesn't matter what they choose, their intent is going to be there.
Story you were talking about, stepping in front of the headlights and there's the AR-15. Nobody needs an AR-15.
No,
why do you need an automatic?
I mean, when my dad passed, I had a machine gun I sold for $15,000 that he had because he just liked it. He never went and killed anybody.
Right.
He was a collector. But I do believe in my heart, if he hadn't come across the headlights with that AR, that it would have went a little differently.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was the man that pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend suffers with a lot of survivor guilt.
Right.
I could not imagine.
And I told him,
not either.
and I didn't talk to him for about 6 months because he just went ghost on me. And he said,
I was going to ask you what's your relationship with him.
It was very close for 2 years. For 2 years, and in April, he just disappeared.
Wow.
This was after it happened. 2 years, I was very close with him. I kind of took care of him and made sure his mental state, make sure he was fed because he didn't come from the best household.
Trying to say it's okay.
So I always was very open with him. We went to the cemetery together and stuff.
I read he was wounded as well.
He was.
Right?
He was shot, but he was released that same night.
Right.
I guess one of the biggest things afterwards, Taylor Dixon was Ashlyn's best friend since third grade. Now, she had put some distance between her and him because he had gotten to a heroin addiction. So after her death, it really took a toll on him. And I kind of took him in, and I...
Great guy, too.
Yeah, he was a sweet guy. He would come to our events and stuff. So put him through Brother Brian mission, had him in the psych ward, watched him graduate the mission. He got his GED. He was clean for a year. He got out and went back to some of his family and wound up on the street again. I saw him on Christmas Eve of this year, and on the day after Christmas, I got a phone call from his grandmother saying that he had overdosed on a hot dose of heroin that his mom or someone had provided him. So I lost him after 2 years of trying, and I thought, I suck at this. I just need to quit. I've lost my daughter. I've failed her. I've failed Taylor. And now I've got Willow, which was a friend of Ashlyn's, when they were a little younger, and she's the girl they found in the well that they had beat in advance.
This is just recently.
Yeah, I heard about that
Okay.
recently.
This was a friend of your daughter.
Yes, so that's three. There's three kids that were in my house
Mm.
at a young age and that hung together, and I've got pictures of them. There's three gone out of that group
Wow.
because somebody failed somebody somewhere.
Right.
Somebody failed some kids. Somebody didn't see the red flags. You got babies raising babies. You don't have the tight knit household. My daughter was very open with me. I knew, I would say, 98% of anything she ever did. So it's really ironic that Don't Tell Mom is the name of this podcast
Yeah.
because she
She told you
would
everything.
literally tell me anything. Some stuff I didn't want to know, you know, but she would tell me, and I questioned that. But now I'm glad that I was open. And I think so many parents, and not faulting parents, that have lost kids to violence or drugs, but not to step in that ant bed, but the Black community mental health awareness or depression is just not tolerated. It's just like taboo. It's just like, just get over it, you know. And I believe in the tough love stuff, but I think
That's in a lot of communities.
and Rocky might can speak on that more
I was
than
about
I
to say,
can.
I've recently had to break out of that mentality from growing up. Just like,
Yeah.
get up,
Yeah.
get to work, do what you got to do. And
Yeah.
now I'm like learning to feel my feelings.
Right, you
for
have
once.
to,
It's
because
been
it
crazy.
turns to anger and it turns to
Well,
drugs.
I don't want you to feel like I just heard you like say I failed. And like the fact that you shouldn't. I mean, I know because you're sitting here that you obviously don't think that necessarily. But like if you look at it in another way, that you were there for those three, and that's just that's such a
positive
huge
influence.
testament to who you are deep down.
And I'm
I
not
commend
bragging,
you
and
for
I'm
that.
not looking for a cookie or a trophy or
Mhm.
any recognition out of that. That's just my heart, and that was Ashlyn's heart. So that's why when we do our events, we did a golf tournament.
Ross Bridge.
May.
Yeah.
May.
Mhm.
It was Frank House.
Oh,
Frank
yeah,
House.
yeah.
We're doing Rossbridge. And we did it for the AFSP, which is American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, and we raised $2,200 for her. Ashlyn
wow.
walked in the walk every year, so she's a virtual walker,
Mhm.
even though she's gone. So this year she's raised $2,200 for our
That's
team.
amazing.
And our team is Light of Day, and Kevin Muir is over that team, and he's been a big help in our.
So I think
Not-
it's oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, that she's speaking of her tragedies, and your viewers are gonna they'll see this and they might say like, wow, like there's a dark cloud.
Yeah,
There's no other way to put that.
it's still fresh too.
But
I mean,
but the thing is that like that's everybody that's all the tragedies that happened. They had that 2 years or 3 years that they were around April and her family, or however long it was. It was probably a better living situation for them. So
Right, right.
it's almost like it was almost like a miracle that the last few days of their lives they spent it like really living. You know what I mean?
Being loved.
Because but so many people, so many youths, they spend their lives in misery, not getting help or support
Mhm.
from people, from people like April, and they don't have that opportunity
Yeah.
because it's never offered to them. So
Which is why it's so important what you
Yeah.
do.
That's
yeah,
why I
it's
reach
tragic,
out.
but yeah,
To reach out.
I think it's just also a bigger picture overall, because I mean it's not just necessarily gun violence. You've mentioned suicide prevention walk. You mentioned
Yes.
drug addiction.
My husband lost
And I mean that's just
three, his mom, his dad, and his stepdad to suicide.
well, one of the earlier this year, late last year, that young girl,
Madeline, Maddie.
Maddie.
Maddie is actually Hindarius, our MC's cousin. She was 9 and took her life
from being bullied in
from being
school.
bullied.
And that's the
God,
thing,
give me chills because that you just
9?
hear it. Like a 9-year-old shouldn't be able to comprehend what
not
suicide is.
well, not just that, but
You know what I mean?
wrap your mind around this. This is the girl's father or uncle, right? The
Yes.
MC, the uncle is one that's out there actively in the community helping children, talking to people, going
Surely
to
she knew
events.
that,
She
too.
she
Well-
knew that, but imagine what she had to have been going through
Mhm.
in her
So-
life that she didn't feel even comfortable, or the embarrassment, or
And I
the
think
stigma
some
to
of
coming
her-
and talking to somebody
Some
about
of her
it.
situation was due, I think, maybe to a side effect of a medication they put her on as well.
Okay.
So that was some of her.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you could be trying to help a mental illness and just
Yeah.
completely make it 10 times worse
Right.
by
By-
prescribing the
yeah.
wrong dose or the
Mhm.
wrong
Yeah, and
type
I
of
don't know if it was. I really don't know the depth of her story. Like if she had ADHD or she just had some depression, but there's been so many kids that take
But that
their life.
9 years old.
That's
I
yeah.
mean, they tell you, I was on an antidepressant, and they were like, call us as soon as you have any suicidal thoughts. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever.
Yeah,
And then I couldn't imagine being a 9-year-old and like,
Right.
what
Not
is a
knowing how to
suicidal
feel.
thought necessarily? Or,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've listened to a couple of like true crime podcasts and stuff
Mhm.
recently, and there was one that they were talking about the psychological stuff that happens when you are bullied in school growing up,
Mhm.
and then your childhood growing up, how you're treated by your parents, tough love type stuff, or that, and how it affects you mentally, and then how it starts off as a joke, and you get that recognition or that laugh from your
Mhm.
friends,
Mhm.
and then before you know it, it's
Yeah.
just like it was just supposed to be a joke.
I have
Like-
friends that
Yeah.
struggle that get like the suicide awareness team that we've walked with for the last 5 or 6 years, I guess. One of our coworkers had killed himself, and that's where that team started from. As I said, my great granddaddy killed himself, but I think he had dementia. My husband's dad was an addict and struggled bipolar and killed himself. And then his mom was married to a man, and they kind of came on hard times financially and all, and so he killed his mom, my husband's mom, and then killed himself.
Yeah.
So,
There's another way, folks.
Yeah,
There's another
there
way.
is.
Like, I hate suicide. I hate it. I've had friends
Yeah.
that have killed themselves. A friend of mine the other day was in town because his brother was the guy that jumped off the parking garage at UAB the
that's
other
terrible. I heard about
Oh,
that.
really?
That was
who?
that was
Oh, my
Maverick's
gosh.
brother.
Oh, that
So-
was
and
Maverick's brother.
Maverick's
I
brother.
had
He's
no
23
idea.
years, 23 years
Yeah.
old. He's got a $25 an hour job working as a
He was working at UAB.
an X-ray technician. I mean, think about how great that
Right.
position. You look at this guy and you think, well, he's got everything. He's got a nice place to live, and he's got a college education. He's got this great job. He's making money, and it was a breakup. I mean,
Yeah.
his girlfriend and him broke up, and then he's
Loss and grief and the brain is just a powerful thing.
yeah.
It is.
You know?
And
Yes.
every single one of us is different, and so
Right.
however
Everyone grieves differently.
exactly however I take something bad that happened, maybe that's why our parents were tough it up, get up,
Yeah.
brush your knees off and keep going.
Right.
Maybe that's why, because I don't know, everybody is so different, and people are more sensitive.
Mhm.
Like something that I think, like you were saying, you say it's a bully, but maybe somebody was just making a joke to
Mhm.
somebody, and that person is a lot more sensitive to that,
Mhm.
and so they think of it like, oh, it's just a joke, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But that person goes home and they're crying themselves to sleep that night because of what that
Right,
person
yeah.
said, because so and so laughed at it or whatever. And I think it just comes down to being aware that we're all different, and to just be respectful of other people, and to try, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like
We're
where
all one race. We're all one. We're just human. And
Yeah.
I don't think
Human,
it
yeah.
should be black. I don't think it should be white. I don't think it should be. You'll never see in my events black, white,
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican,
Mhm.
lesbian, gay.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not up here to put a platform on anything other than doing something for the youth,
Mhm.
looking for the signs, reaching out to someone. If somebody can't parent their child, take them. And some people just don't have it in them.
Help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some people
Mhm.
don't have it in them. But just one little thing,
Do something
just
nice for
do
someone.
something nice for someone.
There's that pressure
Yeah.
too from the outside, and I dealt with it recently. We've kind of openly talked about it on this podcast and on my other channel, but just the societal pressure of like looking the best, and like you said, the financial issues, and then he killed himself because he probably couldn't live up to the
Yeah.
what society wanted, or what the picture perfect
Right.
relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
They
And
didn't
that
have the
starts
picture
with
perfect
you.
relationship. Yeah,
Right.
so being aware of those signs, like you said, and then just saying something to somebody,
Right.
and that's the
Yeah.
hardest part.
Well,
And that's-
alcoholism had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So that played a big factor in that. But my husband's been through it. I mean, he's been through it.
I imagine all those people that he's
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah,
to
and my
something
daughter,
like
my daughter's really.
And you're having to be just 10 times stronger for your husband too.
that.
I mean,
well, that's
Yeah.
got to weigh down on you. You know,
It
Right.
does,
Like,
but I think that maybe I just, my dad always coddled me and everything,
Mhm.
and I don't know where I was bullied as a kid, and I was insecure and just always just an awkward kid, and I don't know. I just dug down and just found my strength.
right.
And,
Yeah.
You want to come out of that.
and then even after my daughter was killed, I'm not gonna say I wasn't down. I'm not gonna say I don't still get down.
Right.
Mhm.
There's days that, last night I'm pulling the couch covers out, the couch cushions out,
Oh,
the vacuum,
gosh.
and there's a hair tie, or there's,
Yeah,
there's
something.
signs or something.
Like a trigger. Well,
Yeah.
I think that you're like 100% right when you say with stuff like that. I think the youth is where it starts. I mean, I
Right.
think that like
That's our main focus. Is
Yeah.
the youth.
Letting
We
people
also
know.
do fundraisers. We've done one for 3 Hots in the Cots, which is for homeless veterans. American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We did one for Houston Pet Rescue. Because that was a big passion of Ashlyn's.
yeah.
When they had their hurricane, and I just a couple months later found out that her kidney recipient was from Houston,
Oh,
which was really
wow.
cool.
Yeah,
so
that is cool.
yeah, so yeah.
I mean, look at all the people y'all are affecting.
Yeah.
Still, this 2-3 years, almost 3 years later, like
and it's
incredible.
It's based off of her passions, and we're small, and we're trying to get out there, and we're just going to try to get our foundation just become a legal foundation and
Yeah.
nonprofit. That way we can do bigger events and hopefully bring bigger crowds and touch more
Hey, well,
people.
if you're listening and you're around here, y'all better come out here.
Yeah.
You
Well,
support
she-
it, you
she
know.
has
come support it.
even for the people that are not here, she could plug her information in, because she's got her
Yeah.
she's got her Facebook page and stuff like that. And the thing is, like, it's all age. I think it's all age appropriate. If any children want to go on there, because everybody that has this experience, me as a veteran, I've come on the podcast before.
Mhm.
The thing with my experiences is that the only people that I feel that I could connect with is other veterans, because they're the only ones that have also had this experience. So I could talk to you about it, and it might affect you, in some aspects of your life. You might be empathetic or sympathetic towards my stories,
Mhm.
but you'll never truly understand
Never.
what I went through,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, for April. I haven't lost a child.
Yeah.
I could imagine what it would feel like, but even then, it's not. I'll never truly understand what it is that her or any mother or father goes through whenever they lose
Yeah.
a loved one or a sibling. Her
changes
son.
I mean, we
Yeah.
lost our dad to cancer, and I mean, it was one of those knowing things that was going to happen. It was inevitable, and
Mhm.
like you said, I would see something, one of his shirts or something, and just get hit. And
Mhm.
it hit me. It just comes in waves. But then so I can comparatively have those emotions, but I still don't know
Never.
what
Yeah.
that
I lost
knock on the door at 12
And
o'clock.
I
at night
would
was like.
I would challenge anybody that if they get a chance to go on her Facebook on the
Yeah,
Ashlyn Sparks Movement, because you see the pictures on there, you see stories from other mothers. Some of them are older. 3 or 4 years ago, I lost my son, but then there's some that are pretty recent.
You've
and
got
you
some cold cases.
you have
You've
some
got
cold
moms
cases.
that don't have any closure.
And a lot of them have those pictures, and as soon as once you start following the movement and you see that picture of that child, it's like, man, like, this kid had their entire life in front of them.
So,
And a lot of the stories are just horrific. I remember seeing a story on there of a young girl that just wrong place in the wrong time, a stray bullet hit her. And it's like, how as big as it really gets you thinking. It's like, as big as the world is and as small as the bullet is, how can the
That
two meet? Yeah, exactly. So I'll give her the opportunity to
Right.
put all that information out there for people to follow.
Let me ask you, because I was curious about this before, and we moved past it, but I wanted to ask you, with the people that were involved with your daughter's shooting, were there guns? Were there something that they bought on the street, or did they have them at home that they weren't locked up? I mean, do they know where
Yes.
where the AR-15 came
Yes,
That's what I was getting back to.
The
With the, like, you
AR-15
can't control
belonged to someone else, and it was taken out of the back seat, but it was just kind of just freely laying around.
Right,
Um,
locked that.
It's my understanding, I'm not sure, like I said, because we still are in court proceedings,
Okay.
that the handgun belonged to the girlfriend.
Okay.
And they were picked up, I think, either that night or the next night on an unrelated traffic violation.
Wow.
And they had to subdue her, tase her to get
Wow.
her, and she's yelling, F the
Good.
police, F the police. So,
Yeah.
Karma.
yeah.
I mean, not even.
I mean,
Not even.
it wasn't even so much, oh, I got mad and shot, and I think I might have hurt somebody. It was, let's go back to the house and come up with alibis. Oh, I was hanging Christmas lights at my grandmother's.
Mm.
Right.
And then it's called a relative and tell them what happened, and then that relative finds the ambulance, so y'all drive back and y'all watch the ambulance be loaded.
Wow.
And
That's
then you're
crazy.
callous enough to go pick up shell casings, but in court that doesn't matter because that's just going down rabbit holes.
Uh-huh.
It's the actual act that matters.
Right.
But that's what I'm talking about, the evilness and the lack of respect for human life,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the desensitization, everybody's desensitized.
Distance,
Right.
yeah.
It's like, this is okay, somebody else got shot down here. It shouldn't be normal. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be okay. And
It should
that's
be
Well,
just
and I
another,
think- and-
another
yes,
one.
it should
Yeah.
be, yeah. And this is what it's turning into.
And
It's
I
just
think
like,
like you're saying, the desensitization of it,
Yeah.
it goes back to the young age stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know mental health is a huge thing, but the violence in the movies, the violence in the video games, which video games aren't, I don't necessarily believe.
yeah, I
like,
don't
but
either.
it just makes it like look, I guess, or appear okay, like from a
Right.
young
And-
age.
And I don't know if they were under the influence of any kind of crazy drugs or anything. I imagine they probably were. But this man that killed my daughter had just got out of jail a few months before for a burglary. So you keep cutting
He wasn't a
them
good
loose.
guy.
He wasn't a good
Made a
guy.
mistake. It
I
wasn't
mean,
like that.
from what I understand, and like I said, I don't know for sure. From what I've understood, that the police were always up at the high school. He went to high school, the same high school with my daughter. She was friends on Facebook with him.
Wow.
I don't think she knew him personally.
No.
One of the scariest things too to think about, and I kind of think about the rampant school shootings that have happened
Yeah.
recently. So
That's
many.
scary.
That's super scary.
And there's so
But
many.
the fact that you've got it's got to be mental health, but then I would say, I don't even know the actual percentage, but like most of the shooters in those school shootings have no history of violence
no,
at
they
all.
don't. And a lot
And
of them are prepared to die once.
And that's
They
what's
go
so
in.
crazy. So how do you control that? Or it's just like,
This is what I wonder. I wonder if it really is a mental health thing, or like for, I don't think it is for everybody. I think that person would have been perfectly fine and would have never had a mental health issue if they had been in a better environment where people were kinder to them.
Mhm.
Then things like that would have never happened. You know what I'm
Maybe.
saying?
I
I
don't know.
And then you
I
have
disagree.
spoiled rich brats
Yeah.
that go do stuff
Yeah,
like that.
right.
I think
I-
some people are just inherently evil.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I think
it's
the-
A
spiritual.
bad heart,
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
a bad heart.
The majority, I think, has to do with the environment that people are around, whether it's raised in or just around at the time when it happens. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because guns are bad. People say guns are bad. Okay, I get it. When I was in the military, we deployed. Everybody had a gun.
Mhm.
That's 100% of the people were carrying guns. There, small percent of the time it was an accidental shooting or negligent discharge, as they call it, right?
Right.
And there's definitely mental health issues in the military as well.
Mhm.
Right.
But you hardly ever see it reported where there's just a mass shooting.
Right.
You don't hear
I've
about
never
it.
heard of it.
You don't hear about
But
it.
you have 22 veterans a day that commit suicide.
And then you have that, they come home and you have the suicide. Well, there's the mental health issue,
Right.
At some point or another, it's not addressed. A lot of times it's because it's not addressed. The veterans don't go out and seek the help that they should. because there is that stigma,
Right.
you know. But also, I was looking earlier, some stats from CDC stats. In 2017, in the state of Alabama, there were 1,100 gun violence or deaths to gun complication. 1,100. 540 of them were suicide, and 503 were homicides. So more people died to gun suicides than homicide.
Jeez.
But then if you look at the homicide, how many of the people that pull the trigger have mental health issues as well?
Yeah.
You know, I feel that, I 100% feel that suicide, that 100% of the cases is because of mental health issues.
Mental health.
Yes.
So
And
then
That's a
So then you also
telling
have,
statistic.
yeah. So then you also have to think what percentage of the people that commit murder are also mental health issues. So you're already at 50%. With the suicide alone, you're already at 50% mental health issues. So
But there's nowhere to get help. I mean, like, where do you
No.
go get help?
well,
that's
one
the mental
thing,
health.
the
Yeah.
healthcare.
Mhm.
I worked pharmacy for 26 years. I can't tell you how many of my patients I turned away because they couldn't afford their lithium or they were at their
Mhm.
cap on their Medicaid. So you got people with bipolar disorder, which everybody with bipolar disorder is not going to run out and kill
Mhm.
anybody, but you got people with schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder
Mhm.
that can't get their meds. They can't afford their meds, so they're walking around and they're unmedicated. And probably, though, there's probably never been anybody to go do a mass shooting because of that.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, it's a stigma
Yeah.
Yeah.
with some of the
Yeah.
communities and the households. You can't be depressed. Just suck it up, boy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't
Mhm.
be like that. You have to pull your kids up. When, like, my son, it has PTSD, and so he struggles. And but I have to it's a balance.
Right.
You have to
You
listen
know,
to it.
I have to
and-
listen to him, but
Yeah.
I can't let him just wallow in it.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
you got to pull yourself up. You got to do something. You got to put that energy somewhere else because he's very angry sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get your axe and go out there and chop your log up,
Yeah.
or
Take
hit the
your
punching
aggression,
bag.
yeah,
You
where
know,
it
you
should
count
be.
to 10. We're not
Right.
we're not doing it like this.
Go
We're
to
not,
There's
therapy.
definitely,
Seek
yeah.
help.
he
There's
won't- he won't
definitely
go to
help.
therapy,
Yeah.
but he won't go. And then you got some people that just won't go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like my 3-year-old will start jumping on the couch, or something. Like, let's chant. You see, you have energy, or you want to jump. Let's take your little ass outside and jump on the trampoline
Right.
where you're supposed to jump, so he can still get his
Yeah.
energy out and not
Yeah.
and then have it pent
Right.
up, and go to school and start jumping on another kid.
And
Yeah.
basically,
You know?
that's what I do with my grief. I take it
Yeah.
and I channel it
Something good.
to
Something
something
productive.
good
Yeah.
to try to make a change. And sometimes I'm just tired and I just don't want to do it anymore. But then it usually passes and I'm just up and I'm at it again. And I'm not going to stop and I'm not going to let anything get in my way. And it's like I said, if you can't walk on my path with me, if you're not able to, you don't have to. If you don't want to or don't agree with it, that's fine. But don't get in my way
There you go.
because I'm not stopping.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Good
Amen.
dedication. I mean,
I'm
where
gonna-
do you tell us what's your solution? What do you think that needs to happen? And tell us how people can find you and how to get in touch with you and to help your cause.
Well,
Let's hear
you
it.
know,
I've got it up on the screen right now. This
Move Mountains.
Mountains.
yes, that's our upcoming events on November 2nd at the Water Lady Park from 12 to 3. I myself am not a counselor. I can't work miracles, but all I can do is host these events and offer you avenues and let you have a speaker you can listen to. And like I have someone there that's going to speak on human trafficking. I've got someone there that's going to speak on suicide awareness. I've got someone that's going to speak on domestic violence. I've got someone that's going to speak on gun violence. So there's something there for
Amazing.
something there for everyone. Get a card, make a phone call. If it helps one, if I do this for 20 more years, if it helps one person,
Save one life.
worth it.
Yeah,
Worth it. Every bit of it,
Totally.
every penny I've had to pour out into it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I want to make a change, and like I'm a very tiny molecule in the change, but it's got to start somewhere.
Right.
Yes.
Well, thank you. You're a blessing to the community, and I appreciate you coming down here and talking to us and telling us your story. It's an amazing story. Everybody that's listening and that's watching right now, please go and check out the Ashlyn Sparks Movement
It's
on
on the screen
Facebook.
now,
Cullen's
right
going to put it
there.
on the screen.
Her Facebook, You want to give the Facebook page?
The Ashlyn Sparks
Mhm.
Movement.
Yeah, it's at
Yes.
Justice
Yeah,
for Ashlyn Sparks.
No, there is a Justice for Ashlyn Sparks page that was another page I had
Okay.
that I just had to kind of shut down and convert. But the page is going to be the Ashlyn Sparks Movement.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where you can find all the
That's where you
information.
can find information on our events. Again,
Okay.
we're not miracle workers. You know, we do very little fundraising right now. We try to do a couple of fundraisers a year.
Okay.
We don't have a, means to help anybody financially or anything, just emotionally. We want to reach out, kind of put an end to racial division,
Okay.
come together as a,
Right.
there's so much racial division right now. And I know there is racism, but I'm not, okay?
Right.
I'm not.
Mhm.
So come to my events and let's network.
Doesn't matter who you are, you can get a hug
Yeah.
from me.
You know,
Oh, from Mama Cat.
Yeah.
She's
Mama
best
Cat,
known by
yeah.
Mama Cat in the
Mama Cat.
community. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Mama
Yeah.
Cat.
I've got a picture of the beautiful young lady we're talking about. This whole podcast up on the screen now, so kind of put a face with the name there.
She's gorgeous.
she was very beautiful.
Gorgeous
She was
girl.
more. That was just a
Who
bonus.
did she remind you?
Ashlyn. Yeah.
That
my
is so
daughter.
crazy.
Yeah.
When she
That's
showed me a
hair.
picture, I just,
Her outer beauty was just a bonus because she was just as passionate and beautiful inside.
Yeah. It sounds like she
Mama-
was an amazing girl. and
Mama-
it's
Mama
a
Cat's
tragedy
always
she's lost.
on a regular basis, she's always sharing videos from when Ashlyn was still here of her, and it's just she just had so much energy. There's one that you
She had
post.
a healing energy.
Yeah, you have. There's one that she posts like on repeat. It seems like of her dancing.
For her dancing.
Yeah. And you could just tell, like, her smile and her energy is almost as if you knew her. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
wakes you up,
Very infectious.
So, yeah.
It sounds like she was just an amazing girl, and I hate
She
that she
was.
was lost to something so
Don't get me wrong. She
senseless.
was hard headed and stubborn. but
We all are.
I sure hope that she does get justice, and I hope
She
that the
will.
people that are
Yes.
responsible answer for that. And
And
that,
I hope that next time y'all are at school and you see somebody sitting by themselves, go up and say hey to them.
yeah,
And be part of their
be kind,
lives.
be kind, everybody.
I can't tell you how many messages I've got from kids. I was the new kid at the school, and Ashlyn would check in
Oh,
on
my
me on
gosh.
Twitter or message me or sit with me or
That's so sweet.
yeah.
She's that kind of person,
She was
huh?
Yeah.
one, yeah.
The videos that you posted not too long ago, I think there were Snapchat videos, and she was going down a list of people she knew, and she just had this. You think
Oh,
Mama
yeah.
Cat has a deep Southern accent?
Yeah.
She's like, "Hi y'all, I just want to say hey to Melanie,
Yeah.
and
She
I
did
think
this
you're
crazy
great." Yeah, that's what it was.
video.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
used to do the pothole commercial. Remember the because I'm a pothole. You remember that commercial?
Oh, yeah, I
She
remember
could
that.
nail it. It was
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. 'Cause I'm a pothole.
And I'm a
That's what I
pothole.
do. Yeah, I love it.
But for the people that that need that support, and it's you could go. I think the Facebook page is great because it helps
Everybody's on
build
Facebook.
it builds that everybody's on Facebook, but it builds that morale. But also for people that want to follow the story and the movement, but anybody that wants to share
Yeah,
also
their
on there.
story. It's
Yeah,
not
their
all
story.
about Ashlyn. It's for everybody to get their kid's story out there or get their kids help. And
I think that's what's like NA programs. I think that's why they're so
Mhm.
successful is because you're in a group of people that have been there and done and been through that too. So I mean, that's a great place to go and to find other people that may have been going
It
through
is.
something that you went
it
through.
is.
Yeah.
I'm
That-
hoping it helps some people.
The
Yes.
worst, the worst part about it, and with society is that with it, and I noticed this at the last event, the one that we did, the balloon release. She had a lady there. She sang
Rise up.
"Rise Up," and she did a phenomenal job. And there was
Her and
another
him.
artist there.
Hand wrapped it.
And I've said this so many times before. It's like that. There wasn't a whole lot of people there. The people that were there mattered.
Mhm.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot of people there, and the reason being is because the event was put together for something positive.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Had it been hip hop DJ Kill a Lot with
Yeah.
giving out free weed, there would have been
Yeah.
20,000
Right,
people there
right.
supporting absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I keep mentioning the Facebook thing, because at least it's virtual. A lot of people don't, because there's a stigma in being a good person too.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people, I don't
You gotta
want to
be
be known
hard.
as a nice guy. You
I wanna
got to
be
be hard,
hard.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's fine, but you could be nice in the confinement of your home or from your cell phone. Get on the Facebook page and look on there and see that you're not the only one that's going through mental health issues. You're not the one that's ever had that suicidal tendency or even a homicidal tendency or have lost a loved one or a brother, sister, son, or daughter. Get on there and follow the movement and between Mama Cat and everybody else in that community, like you could help each other out. Don't
And it's okay
just
to
don't
be nice.
hide.
I'm very kind, but
Yes.
I don't play.
No,
I
she
haven't-
don't. No.
You know,
I
No.
love it.
Totally.
No.
just, you know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for everything you're
Thank
doing.
you so
I appreciate you
much for having
coming.
us and supporting us.
Yes, definitely. And y'all definitely
Be
go
sure
check
to
it out.
check it out,
Cullen
please. This is
he's going to
amazing.
put everything down in
Yeah,
the
everything in the
description
show
box.
notes.
And I'm so glad that we did this today. I'm so glad that, we were able to have kind of a more serious talk about what's going on in the world. Y'all really just be kind to each other. Be nice. Go and help out where you can. And thank you
I
so
know
much.
it's not easy. I know it's not easy talking about it, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I do want Mama Cat to tell us her don't tell mom story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go,
Yeah,
she has come,
this is
y'all.
gonna be our
Mama Cat
only
has
chance.
come.
Yeah.
She has come to do this with us during her lunch break. So I mean that's saying a
yeah,
lot.
we
You
gotta
know
get
what I
her back to work
mean?
here.
But
Yeah.
that's just thank you so much for coming. But we do want to hear your best. Don't
My
tell
don't tell
mom.
mom.
Mm-hmm. You gotta ask everybody.
So I probably was a little rebellious when I was a kid. Probably a little bit. Wasn't a bad kid, but my first car was a 1976 Camaro,
Okay.
and I adored it.
Yeah.
And so my mom and dad had split up, and me and my mom we fought, and she, I don't know, I think I was 17, and she had grounded me from my car.
Mhm.
But she would take my keys and she would drive it everywhere. And
Oh.
it would piss me off.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't want you driving my car. What if you wreck it? And it was like, my mom didn't play. Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't question it. So I went one night out in the carport and I popped the hood and I pulled out the plug wire.
Oh,
You ain't driving my car.
no. That's hilarious. Oh,
Yeah,
goodness.
don't hide the
What
keys.
happened?
Yeah.
She tried to get cranked
She
up.
wouldn't crank it, it wouldn't crank.
She didn't know what the hell was wrong
No,
with it.
so she had asked my boyfriend to look at it, and I told him, I said, I didn't put the
Sick her driving my car.
You could tell she was mad. I mean, I would have hit the keys. No, that's just
No, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. We haven't heard one like that
That
yet.
is
So that was a good
hilarious.
one.
I'm a total gangster.
Oh man,
Oh,
Mama
that's
Cat, thank
awesome.
you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
coming on. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely, hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on
Yes.
YouTube and favorite us on if you're listening.
Just don't understand. Don't understand. We ain't gonna get